in enlightenment time. We need to cater this enlightenment science to the whole world wherever they are. Because enlightenment is the birthright of all human beings. Kailasa is responsible to provide that to all human beings. Kailasa is the totality of the knowledge I received from my gurus and practice manifested in my life, perfected by teaching millions of people from all cultures, time zones, backgrounds, genders, nationality, race, from every creed. So this absolutely perfected knowledge available to you, served to you in your home without even you moving out of your couch, free of cost. We get you health. We get you ability to build beautiful relationships in your life. We get you direct spiritual support, and we make sure you become wealthy. We won't stop giving you just good life. We will literally not stop till you live enlightened life. Manifesting the state of Paramashiva, space of Paramashiva, powers of Paramashiva, being of Paramashiva. Whole world should become Kailasians.
I want the whole world to know Hindus have something great.
What I mean by the word Kailasa, listen intensely. Enlightenment ecosystem, literally enlightenment itself, in your own home, wherever you are. If you cannot come to Kailasa, it's okay. Kailasa can come to you. Kailasa coming to you is Kailasa.
I will revive Hinduism. I am a Hindu revivalist, not by any revolution, but by evolution. And setting model community. Kailasa, enlightenment ecosystems, Sarvanya Pitas all over the world.
All powerful cognition, knowledge, only when you live power manifestation and possibilities manifestation happens. This is a fundamental truth.
Hinduism cannot live exclusively as one sampradaya. No. All sampradayas of Hinduism is an ecosystem. So don't keep quiet thinking that if one sampradaya is attacked, only that sampradaya is going to be affected. All of us are ecosystem.
I invite all of you to get involved and enjoy Hinduism by the principle of Dharmo Rakshati Rakshitaha. When you protect Dharma, Dharma protects you.
We will make the whole planet flourish spiritually. The spiritual prosperity will happen to the whole planet. We all have to coexist together.
What I mean by the word Kailasa, listen intensely. Enlightenment ecosystem, literally enlightenment itself, in your own home, wherever you are. If you cannot come to Kailasa, it's okay. Kailasa can come to you. Kailasa coming to you is Kailasa.
I will revive Hinduism. I am a Hindu revivalist, not by any revolution, but by evolution. And setting model communities. Kailasa, enlightenment ecosystems, Sarvanya Pitas all over the world.
All powerful cognition, knowledge, only when you live, power manifestation and possibilities manifestation happens. It's a fundamental truth.
Hinduism cannot live exclusively as one sampradaya. No. All sampradayas of Hinduism is an ecosystem. So don't keep quiet thinking that if one sampradaya is attacked, only that sampradaya is going to be affected. All of us are ecosystem.
I invite all of you to get involved and enjoy Hinduism by the principle of Dharmo Rakshati Rakshitaha. When you protect Dharma, Dharma protects you.
We will make the whole planet flourish spiritually. The spiritual prosperity will happen to the whole planet. We all have to coexist together.
What I mean by the word Kailasa, listen intensely. Enlightenment ecosystem, literally enlightenment itself, in your own home, wherever you are. If you cannot come to Kailasa, it's okay. Kailasa can come to you. Kailasa coming to you is Kailasa.
I will revive Hinduism. I am a Hindu revivalist, not by any revolution, but by evolution. And setting model community. Kailasa's enlightenment ecosystems, Sarvanya Peethas all over the world.
All powerful cognition, knowledge, only when you live, power manifestation and possibilities manifestation happens. This is a fundamental truth.
Hinduism cannot live exclusively as one sampradaya. No. All sampradayas of Hinduism is an ecosystem. So don't keep quiet thinking that if one sampradaya is attacked, only that sampradaya is going to be affected. All of us are ecosystem.
I invite all of you to get involved and enjoy Hinduism by the principle of Dharmo Rakshati Rakshitaha. When you protect Dharma, Dharma protects you.
We will make the whole planet flourish spiritually. The spiritual prosperity will happen to the whole planet. We all have to coexist together.
What I mean by the word Kailasa, listen intensely. Enlightenment ecosystem, literally enlightenment itself, in your own home, wherever you are. If you cannot come to Kailasa, it's okay. Kailasa can come to you. Kailasa coming to you is
Nityanandam, welcome back to all the viewers as we're entering into the next segment of today's program. And we're going to continue understanding the persecution against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. We have been presenting to you a series of segments, a series of episodes on how exactly the anti-Hindu militant forces had orchestrated this systematic violence and genocidal execution against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and Kailasa. We have seen over the last few days and heard the heartfelt sharings of so many victims who have been survivors after so much of brutal violence. And not only that, have heard from Kailasians who have witnessed and seen the last 2 decades how the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has undergone the most brutal persecution at the hands of the anti-Hindu militant forces, and how every single time the anti-Hindu militant forces have been isolating the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, strategizing in order to isolate and ultimately to try to eliminate him entirely and continue their oppression over Hindus overall and make sure that the revival of Kailasa, the last hope for Hinduism, is halted in its place. While they had tried so much for the last 2 decades, we have seen how literally it came to the point where the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism had sacrificed even coming out in public and even in the own country of India, and has made sure that in some way or form, at least, the revival of Kailasa is still happening by protecting himself and ensuring that he is in some way available for each and every one of us. And many of the programs, satsangs, everything is possible today because the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism had finally worked so much to ensure that the voice of the survivors of the Hindu Holocaust and the persecution against Kailasa has a platform, is recognized by the United Nations. And at least in some platform, in the international platform, the international audience is listening and understands the story of what is going on, the untold story of the Hindu Holocaust. Yesterday, in the segment previous to this, we had been going over the 8 stages of persecution, how the different stages of persecution had been or used systematically to stop to eliminate or assassinate a religious minority or a culture in its entirety. We had understood the segregation and isolation used as a tactic in so many different historical examples and case studies, and how in the same way segregation and isolation was used upon the illegal arrests of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism in 2010 and 2014, and the attempt to assassinate him under the during a illegally administered medical test in 2014. And in each of these instances, the authorities in hand had tried to isolate the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism from those who love and defend and protect him as the leader of Hinduism. And by doing this, then they tried to attempt to assassinate the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. We also saw yesterday how the program confusion happens in all of the different places, in all of the different times that the anti-Hindu militant terrorists are trying to enact a certain agenda against the Hindu culture. Program confusion is when the media and the authorities in hand, in order to communicate in a very clear way exactly what is happening, due to their lack of responsibility and also their use of the use of the media in the attack against these religious minorities and indigenous people, it causes the entire public to not know exactly how to make their own conscious decision about the victims who are victimized during the entire persecution. For example, if you see in the murders at the hands of the mob in last year in April, in the Palghar incidents, we saw how the media completely twisted what had happened and had tried to show as if 2 Hindu sadhus who were entirely peaceful projected and lied in the media as if they were 2 thieves, and had and started making up narratives that the mob had killed two thieves rather than the Hindu sannyasis, respected, esteemed leaders of akhadas that they actually were. The entire mob and the anti-Hindu militant forces had targeted these two Hindu sannyasis in order to murder and kill them. And they had handed over them to the mob. And in this case also, there is no one held accountable for the outright murder of two people. And ultimately, nobody is able to seek justice, and there's no legal recourse for what is going on, for the absolute injustice and the crimes against humanity that have happened over and over again against Hindus. Now, we've also seen how the anti-Hindu militant forces had used other strategies as well, including relentless persecution, including silent assassination attempts, where without anyone being held accountable, they tried to assassinate the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and do this as an attempt. And as well, they try to ensure that the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is unable to even be associated, even though there are so many hundreds of people who support him, who had supported the revival of Kailasa before, and we had seen the visuals we've seen the photographs and the evidence of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism meeting numerous leaders in India, including the current Prime Minister, Sri Narendra Modi, and also the previous prime ministers, extremely notable and esteemed leaders of Hinduism, as well as leaders are part of the government, and also in the United States, so many different leaders, congressmen, representatives, whom the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism had worked hard to build a relationship and help the cities and the people whom they respectively serve. And the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was recognized for the amount of work for spiritual and peaceful solutions to our everyday conflicts, our deeply rooted insecurities and fears and pain is all being experienced. And unfortunately, in spite of so much of work that the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was successful in doing for the revival of Kailasa, this was the very exact reason that the anti-Hindu militant forces had targeted the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism continuously in all of his efforts to revive Hinduism, whether it is the revival of the ancient mudds, the ancient Hindu indigenous kingdoms, which for thousands of years had been serving the public, had been literally being revived and continuing the rituals from Paramashiva himself, who came down and incarnated and established these kingdoms. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism had revived these kingdoms, began doing the socio-spiritual services led by himself and also his initiated disciples in each of these places. And yet we saw the brutal attack, even though there was a court order, even though according to the government of India, the ancient indigenous kingdoms were entirely in the hands of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, and he was responsible and enabled to continue the socio-spiritual services and the revival work. Unfortunately, due to the anti-Hindu militants' brute force attack, much like how the Mughal invaders had continued their brute force attack, the ancient kingdoms were unable to be inhabited even without severe assault and abuse against the Hindu sannyasis who lived there, and the most brutal kinds of violence. And despite all of this work, we have worked to revive Hinduism and revive Kailasa. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism continuously is facing such relentless persecution. In the next segment, we'd like to share with each and every one of you about how the next 5 stages of the cultural genocide have been executed and have been strategized to systematically eliminate the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and continue the persecution against him. We'd like if all of the viewers can take a few minutes also to share the link in the scroll below about where finally the United Nations has recognized the persecution against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. Please take a few minutes to share, and we will be right back with you after a short break and continue this series on the persecution of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism.
What I mean by the word Kailasa, listen intensely. Enlightenment ecosystem, literally enlightenment itself, in your own home, wherever you are. If you cannot come to Kailasa, it's okay. Kailasa can come to you. Kailasa coming to you is Kailasa.
I will revive Hinduism. I am a Hindu revivalist, not by any revolution, but by evolution. And setting model community. Kailasa, enlightenment ecosystems, Sarvanya Pitas all over the world.
Nityanandam, welcome back. And I'd just like to give a brief recap of what we had been discussing in the previous segment. So in globally civilized democratic society, justification of persecution of minority requires complex machinery. In World War I, the assassination of the prince was used to trigger and incite a huge war. After World War I, a simple more sufficient. It required a complex propaganda. A machinery was required to incite the society to support acts of violence. So in World War II, we saw how the Nazi regime had literally enforced the racist ideologies of racial supremacy in a very systemized way as a justification for extermination of the Jewish population, where people were actually convinced that the acts of violence against the Jewish population was justified. The next slide, please. And there's a saying, if you call a dog a mad dog, even if you kill it, people will only thank you. So in the following years after World War II, the whole methodology became highly sophisticated, allowing silent persecution of the entire population or entire community or leader in such a way that literally no social, legal, or humanitarian questioning or backlash would happen. This is how the anti-Hindu terrorists had orchestrated the Hindu Holocaust. The next slide, please. This is the untold story of more than 100 or more than 500 million Hindus killed, massacred, and raped. And the untold story of how Hindus have gone from 56 nations to absolutely zero. Now let's recap the 8 stages of genocide as proposed by the United States Department of State by Gregory Stanton in 1996. In 1996, Gregory Stanton, the founding president of Genocide Watch, presented a briefing paper called The 8 Stages of Genocide at the United States Department of State. And the science of genocide was first conceived and published as Stages of Genocide model in 1987 as a fall lecture at Warren Wilson College and presented to the American Anthropological Association in 1987. And in 2012, 2 stages were added. That was the discrimination and persecution, which resulted in a 10-stage model of genocide. Now, it's important to understand that the stages are not linear, and they usually occur simultaneously. They're happening in such a huge, overwhelming way, continuously, relentlessly, that the culture at hand has no choice but to fall to its knees. The model is a logical model for analyzing the entire process of genocide. And now let us understand how the 7 stages of Hindu genocide were a systematic acts of violence against Hinduism. So this is all of the stages: segregation and isolation. As a review, the segregation and isolation is the act of isolating from a human family to make him vulnerable and easy to persecute. Programmed confusion is making it impossible for victims in society to make intelligent, conscious decisions about violence against the victim. Exploiting weaknesses of the public, traits and weaknesses of targeted individual or community are leveraged. And justification propaganda, a targeted propaganda to drive an ideology in the society to justify acts of violence against the victim. 5 is the silent assassination attempts, where we saw carrying out assassinations using silent means like anonymous mob, so that no one may be blamed or it may be conveniently dismissed as an accident or a natural occurrence or even a suicide. And relentless persecution or genocide. And this is the repeat the mass attempts to kill until the entire community is exterminated and no evidence of the crime remains, or no one is available to even tell the truth. The 7th stage is denial and diverting attention from the crimes of persecution, rewriting persecution history, denying and hiding the crimes of persecution, and blaming the victims for their losses and deaths using extremely atrocious lies. Now, I request the NTV volunteer if you can go to the program confusion. The last series, we had understood how segregation and isolation was used against the whole public. But now let us enter into the 2nd stage, the programmed confusion. If the volunteer can go to the program confusion slides, you can pause the share and then come back. Yes. So while we understand, we had literally gone through how exactly in the previous segment, how in our yesteryear, in the Mughal invasions and the British rule over India, we saw so many different acts that segregated that segregated the Hindus from the rest of the world, making them into witches, making them into thugs and thuggies, and entirely demoralizing, dehumanizing an entire population, as you can see here. And the same way, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism had been done against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. The next slide, please. Yes, we can go on to the next slide. The next slide, please. Going on to the next slide. Yes, we can go to the program confusion part of the slide. Yes, so yes, let's go back. Here we have the second stage of the second stage of genocide, program confusion, making it impossible for the victim and society to make intelligent, conscious decisions about the violence against the victim. Now, of course, which is very obvious in acts of genocide. Here we have, yes, Kashmir. The word Kashmir itself originates from one of the Sapta Rishis, Rishi Kashyapa. However, the very propaganda to justify the extermination of ancient indigenous Hindu communities of Kashmir was a political ideology named Kashmiriyat. The terrorist masterminds who brought this religious persecution cunningly disguised it as a geographical dispute and freedom struggle. Kashmiri Pandits were called migrants by the mass media cult, and Kashmiri Hindus were treated as refugees in their own country. Their real status remained as a confusion to the people outside, and therefore their persecution was watched in nothing but silence. And now, how the program confusion was systematically used against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. Now, here we have the accused of rape is a Mauli or a Muslim cleric, but the media uses a photograph of a Hindu in order to addresses the cleric as a Baba to confuse people to think that the accused is actually a Hindu monk. And here we have another where the accused of raping of a 14-year-old girl is another Muslim cleric, but the media addresses him as a Swami. Again, what is used to address Hindu monks. Now, what does this make when we, as a general public, are continuously reading headlines? We are starting to understand, starting to get the idea that Hindu Swamis are in general continuously working against the people or criminals and continuously criminalizing and falsely accusing the Hindu sannyasis in the media. And here we have a side-by-side comparison of what the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism had actually said during the CID interviews and what the media was twisting and telling in their headlines. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism had stated that he was not capable of indulging in any sexual act, and he can prove so if he goes through a medical potency test. But the media hate speech, what they had said and misquoted by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was that he's saying, I am not a man, and Nityananda told CID salute. The next slide, please. The fact is that the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism's body is incapable of performing a sexual act. And the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism asked the police to conduct potency tests so that the police knew he was incapable of performing any kind of sexual act. The police was expected to investigate the real truth, and this was a possibility for the world to know that the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was innocent, but the police colluded with the media and destroyed this possibility by presenting it as a subject of ridicule. And the net effect, the programmed confusion that happened, is that the average man who is looking at the media, who is seeing all of what is going on, is confused, and whether he can decide or trust the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism or not. And erring on the side of the media, they decided to side with the media. Again, exactly the opposite narration of the same press meet by two different newspapers here on the 2nd of February 2011. is another example of the program confusion. On one side, trying to say, yes, it was me, and the other side saying this wasn't me. Now, of course, in the video, the fabricated, obscene, morphed video that was relayed on the media for 14,000 hours to character assassinate the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was entirely fabricated. But the media wanted to only promote confusion about what was going on and against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism to effectively silence the entire public when they were watching this happening. And again, we see more headlines in the same sense. The next slide. And even in the news, how they absolutely are posing again confusion against the public. How in one headline they're saying this is an organized conspiracy to target me, and in another just below that they're trying to say, yes, that was me in the video. Which one is the lie? Which one is the truth? This is what the public is trying to understand but cannot. But people do not know that this is a programmed confusion that anti-Hindu militant terrorists are trying to psychologically induce in the entire public when they continuously berate these headlines on the media, and they play so many hours of footage. In another example, in 2015, the media was trying to spread false news that the head of the Akada Parishad was against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. But we can see in 2015, the president of Akada Parishad had even spoken alongside and supported the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism during the Nasik Kumbh Mela in 2015. And now let us enter into the third strategy, the third stage of the genocidal violence. The traits and weaknesses of an individual are targeted in order, and the community are leveraged. The next slide. From 1700 to 1950, the colonial era starved 80 million Hindus to death by man-made famine. This was done by overtaxation and the transfer of grains of war and depriving it where it was needed. Anyone who resisted was branded as a thuggy and killed. And it was one farmer against the world's largest empire. He had only one option: die complying or die fighting. From 1009 AD to 1026 AD, Muhammad Ghazni attacked India 12 to 17 times. He attacked the Somnath temple, which was gold-plated during that era, and looted all the gold. On several occasions, he lost the war and was forgiven by the Hindu kings who followed Dharma. In following years, more than 200 million Hindus were killed in various attacks by these invaders. And once again, here we are seeing how exactly those weaknesses of being forgiving and non-violent is used against the Hindu community. If you can see the example of this era, this is the Adinam, Tiruvannamalai, Kailasa in Tiruvannamalai in 2008, how there is absolutely no boundary wall. There was no need because of the acts of service and love and community that was surrounding Tiruvannamalai. And not only that, Hindu monks had taken the vow of ahimsa or non-violence. The attackers took advantage of this and did not stop them from using all sorts of violence on the monks. And this picture is from the 7th of June 2012, where you can see the attackers are literally brutally beating up a Hindu monk inside the premise of the Adi Kailash Sarvagnapitam. Now, the next stage is justification propaganda, a targeted propaganda to drive an ideology in the society to justify acts of violence against the victim. On the 24th of November 1675, the Mughals had killed Guru Tegh Bahadur, the 8th Sikh Guru. They politically justified it by calling him a robber. And 107 years later, this was recorded in the Mughal Empire records by Ghulam Hussain. The truth we know only from Sikh history, that he was brutally executed for standing up for the minority communities and throwing up an open challenge, refusing to convert to the religion. And we can see here the official justification propaganda, the official account of the Mughal Empire written 107 years later by Ghulam Hussain of Lucknow in 1782. He said that Tegh Bahadur, the 8th successor of Guru Nanak, became a man of authority with large number of followers, and several thousand persons used to accompany him as he moved from place to place. His contemporary Hafiz Adam, a fakir, belonged to the group of Shaikh Ahmad followers and had also come to have large number of murids and followers. Both these men, Guru Tegh Bahadur and Hafiz Adam, used to move about in Punjab, adopting a habit of coercion and extortion. And Tegh Bahadur used to collect money from Hindus and Hafiz Adam from Muslims. The royal Wahia Naviz, the news reporter and intelligence agent, wrote to the Emperor Alamgir Aurangzeb and of the manner of the activity, and added that if their authority increased, they could become even refractory. So again, this is from Ghulam Hussain of the Mughal Empire record. This was the propaganda to justify the persecution. And here we're seeing the brutal execution of Guru Tegh Bahadur, the 7th successor and incarnation of Guru Nanak. The next slide, please. The next slide. And again, we're seeing examples of how justification propaganda was used. Again, the Criminal Tribes Act declared any person belonging to the tribes mentioned in this list as a thug. The act claimed that Thuggis were born criminals. And why? Because they had revolted against the colonial empire. And here we see the pamphlet of the Criminal Tribes Act from 1924 in India. And another justification propaganda that's well known to the world now today is the 6 million Jews who were killed. The Nazi state persecuted Jews by branding them as an inferior race and falsely blaming them for all of the country's problems, and creating false narratives and race sciences, creating a fake theories like German Aryan race. And we also see the Hindu genocide of Bangladesh, which began on the 26th of March, 1971, and killed up to 3 million people. The genocidal rape of 350,000 women, 10 million Hindus fled the country, and 30 million became internally displaced. And if we see from 1951 to 2011, there was more than 50% drop in the number of Hindus in Bangladesh, which was actually an ancient Hindu kingdom. In 1971, the creation of a pure non-Hindu Islamic state was envisioned by the non-believers and had no place. This was the justification given to kill Hindus by the Pakistani army and other terrorist groups in Bangladesh. At the international platform, they justified it by claiming that it was a war of independence and suppressed the information of the atrocities from coming out. The Hindu women were declared as public property, raped and killed, along with their fetus, even if they're pregnant. And these acts also were justified by killing them as kafirs. And again, another justification propaganda was used by concealing religious intolerance and posing that as a geographical dispute in the Kashmiriyat disputes. In the exodus of the Adi Shaivite minority traditions of the Kashmiri Hindus in the 20th of January 1990. And before Exodus, it was 160,000 Hindus in Kashmir. And after Exodus, it was 4,000 Hindus in Kashmir. After the 1970s, terrorist forces created a fictitious identity called Kashmiriyat. And the word is meaningless because Kashmir is derived from the ancient sage Rishi Kashyapa's name. It just proves that it is a Hindu land. However, using propaganda internationally, they made it look like the geographical dispute and a freedom struggle. On the ground, however, they indiscriminately killed everybody based on religious intolerance to create an Islamic state. And you see the burning alive of disciples. 16 Hindu monks plus one female monk of Ananda Marg was burnt alive and killed in 1982. And this disciple on November 24th, 2017, the disciple of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Sri Nitya Jnanapriyananda, was burnt alive. We are seeing this side-by-side understanding. 16 males plus one female Hindu sannyasis of Ananda Marg were pulled out of a cab and burnt alive near a bridge in broad daylight. More than rupees 30 crore was spent by the government on various court trials and tribunals and result in no justice. The act was justified by calling them child snatchers. And even 50 years later, this allegation was never proven as clearly false. In a similar way, the disciple of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Sri Nitya Jnanapriyananda, who several days ago was actually sharing his experience of being burned alive by the anti-Hindu militant forces, the police refused to even register an FIR, and there was no question of even any justice. And we also see the news that was used against the Palghar mob incident. How they said 3 killed by mob in Maharashtra's Palghar over rumors of organ harvesting. Again, 3 killed by mob in Maharashtra's Palghar over rumors of harvesting. The propaganda by the media mafia was to justify the murder of Maharaj Kalpavriksha Giri and his companions in Palghar in much, much more sinister than anything done by the past persecutors. In July of 2002, the FDI was allowed in the media, and ever since then, foreign-funded media created a huge propaganda in the entire nation, targeting Hindu sadhus and justifying the assassination and persecution of them. And in the persecution here, we're seeing also how in 2015 hours of defamatory news coverage was made against Swami Jayendra Saraswati after he acquitted in 2004. And less than 10 minutes of coverage was on the actual acquittal. The next slide, please. And we can see here the total defamatory telecast time is 14,000 hours and 0 minutes of coverage for the acquittal for any false case. The false news, hate speech, and particularly the morph video broadcasted from 2010 to 2014 for more than 14,000 hours had the following effect. The Morph video on the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and the media hate speech that followed is the most sophisticated propaganda to justify all the assassination attempts to assassinate the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and destroy his mission. Now, if you're asking how, number one, a rape case was registered without even a rape victim, which was justifying the act using this fake video. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was arrested without any charges, and a false evidence was created while he was in jail. Nobody realized this obvious persecution done on him because everyone was busy with the Morph video. A devastating, more than decade-long persecution was carried out on the entire community. In spite of all the good work, this video and the corresponding hate speech had successfully vilified the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. To this date, people don't even know that the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism demand that he be killed through mob lynching or extrajudicial murder, and they don't even know why they want it. That is the level of brainwashing. And here we see the death threats against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. In the media, Jaga Reddy's poser to the police. Can cops kill Swami Nityananda in an encounter? And in social media, so many different death threats directly against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. Now, on the 16th of March 2010, anti-Hindu media chased the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism for more than 2,300 kilometers from Bangalore to Haridwar, and they literally were trying to kill him. The media tried to conceal this murder attempt by publishing false news and justified by claiming that the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism gave selective interviews. Even if the truth now, can the media justify the physical assault by refusing an interview? The next slide, please. So we're seeing the examples of the justification, propaganda, and vilification of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism in the media. The next slide, please. The next slide. And here you can see, even when the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism underwent torture at the hands of the anti-Hindu media, anti-Hindu militant forces, and he needed to go to the hospital in the middle of while he was in illegal police custody. But they used this opportunity to mock and ridicule the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. The next slide, please. Yes, we can go on to the next slide.
शराब पीछे ना पैंट हो रहे हैं शराब पे कौन करे करे बान अच्छी तरह बान 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 जल्दी कर तेनों पता नहीं है लोटा फड़े रहा लोटा फड़ा इधर बान अच्छी तरह ए शराब ही पीती है शराब पीती रहती है पैंट इधर साइड खुला था नहीं अब जा रहा है आप घुमा नहीं ओने में लीड़े पाए हैं ये तू चादर खोली ना फिर देखी
The next slide, please. Yes. So this brings us to a conclusion of the today's presentation and series on the persecution against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. We analyzed what was the third and fourth stages of the genocide, and how the Hindu Holocaust, the Hindu genocide, was systematically orchestrated by anti-Hindu militant forces using these 8 stages. We will be continuing on in the next segment on this extremely crucial topic to understand how anti-Hindu militant forces had used the so far today we understood how the stages of persecution were used against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. We recapped the segregation and isolation. We talked about how program confusion was used by the media as a tactic to entirely silence the public and make the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism entirely alone in his defense as the victim against these anti-Hindu militant forces. And we saw how justification propaganda was used in order to justify the acts of violence against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. The acts of violence by arresting him illegally, by attempting to assassinate him, by torturing him, and so many unnamed and invisible crimes that they have done against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. We will be continuing this segment in further programs, and I hope that each and every one of you understand the necessity right now of each and every one of us knowing about the persecution against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and how it is literally been ongoing for the last 1,000 years. And as a last hope for Hinduism, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was attacked in the most brutal ways. We can now understand the 5th stage of the persecution against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. Requesting if the slides. Yes. So the 5th stage of the persecution against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and the Hindu Holocaust is silent assassination. Carrying out assassinations using silent means like anonymous mob so that no one may be dismissed and blamed, and it may conveniently be dismissed as an accident, a natural occurrence, or a suicide. During the Hindu Holocaust, over 200 million Hindus were killed for being Hindus. They were massacred in war or terrorist attack. Over 200 million Hindus starved to death by man-made famines, and their assassination was silenced by categorizing them as a war casualty. Anti-Hindu historians dismissed their deaths, claiming that the wars by nature have casualties, and atrocity literature writers have put this as a true history. On November 7th in 1966, 5,000 Hindu sadhus were killed in a police action, and the official numbers reported range was 8 to 375. On April 30th, 1982, 16 males and 1 female Hindu sannyasis of Anand Marg were pulled out of a cab and burned alive near a bridge in broad daylight. More than 30 crore was spent by government on various court trials and tribunals, but the end result was absolutely no justice. In the acts against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, the anti-Hindu militant forces used mob lynching as a way to conduct their silent assassination. The next slide, please. In April 2020, Maharaj Kalpavriksha Giri was assassinated by mob lynching. The sixth stage is relentless persecution, which means the repeat the mass attempts to kill until the entire community is exterminated and no evidence of crimes remains. No one is even available to tell the truth. And in the Bengal famine, as you can see, this is relentless persecution and genocide against the Hindus. On the 3rd March of 2010, the headquarters of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was attacked. And we saw footage broadcasted on live national television of the anti-Hindu militant forces trying to burn the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism alive. In 2010 saw multiple rapid assassination attempts against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. And we saw even this assassination attempts in prison while no one was there to defend him against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. In 2012, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was attempted to be mob lynched. And here we see that video.
மீண்டும் போலீசாரால் கைது செய்யப்பட்டுள்ளார்.
And in 2014, the torture and deep-rooted pain that the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism underwent we see the escalation of attacks, the number of times is not stopping. It's absolutely relentless. But if you ask, why were disciples and devotees and sannyasis attacked, what is the answer? In 2017, Sri Parabrahma Maharaj was attacked in Pavlakundru, and Sri Bhaktimaya Swami attacked in Uttar Halyadinam. And even in 2017, attack on the modesty and attempted rape against Hindu sannyasis. Of brutal attacks against all the Adinams, and over the years, how many had happened? We see 2010, the first major attack against the Adi Kailasa Sarvagnipeetham, as well as all of the Adinams in India. In 2011, protests and media attacks, staged protests, and which with armed henchmen outside of the gates of Adi Kailash. In 2012, the second major attack at Bengaluru Adinam. 2013, another attack in Bengaluru. In 2014, an attack in Uttar Hali Adinam. In 2015, and 2017 in Pavlakundru Adinam and Trishulam Adinam, in 2018 in Erode, and 2019 in YSJP at the Yogini Sarvagnipeetham. Now, the seventh stage that we are coming to is the denial and diverting attention from the crimes of persecution. Now, before going into this last stage, I request all of the viewers to take a few minutes to share about the UN finally recognizing the persecution against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. Please share the link which is provided in the scroll below, and you can share and let us take responsibility for the ending the Hindu Holocaust and the revival of Kailasa. As Hindus, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has given us a platform where we can share and take responsibility and reclaim our identity as Hindus. We'll continue on with the next stage of persecution after a very quick break.
What I mean by the word Kailasa, listen intensely. Enlightenment ecosystem, literally enlightenment itself, in your own home, wherever you are. If you cannot come to Kailasa, it's okay. Kailasa can come to you. Kailasa coming to you is Kailasa. I will revive Hinduism. I am a Hindu revivalist, not by any revolution, but by evolution.
and setting model community. Kailasa enlightenment ecosystems, Sarvanya Peethas all over the world.
All powerful cognition, knowledge, only when you live, power manifestation and possibilities manifestation happens. It's a fundamental truth.
Hinduism cannot live exclusively as one sampradaya. No. All sampradayas of Hinduism is an ecosystem. So
Connecting with the divine with your eyes closed is meditation. Connecting with the divine with your eyes open is darshan. Come, let us all now move from meditation to darshan. Slowly, very slowly, please open your eyes.
കാണാതത് കണ്ടാരേ കണ്ടാരേ കാണാതത് കണ്ടാരേ ஒரு வீடு ஒரு கூடு அட எதுவும் கிடையாதே சாக்காடு பிடிமூப்பு அதையெல்லாம் கடந்தாரே கண்டாரே கைலாசம் கண்டாரே கூத்தாடும் ஜடையாண்டி அதை குறியா கொண்டாரே காத்தோடு கதை பேசி சிவஞானம் கண்டாரே பத்தோட ஓரட்டு பத்தோட 18 சித்தர்கள் விளையாட்டு எத்தனை பேருக்கு தந்தாரோ விளையாட்டு சித்தங்கா போக்கு சிவபோக்கு என சொன்னாரே பித்தங்கா போக மருந்தாக தனம் வந்தாரே வடகாசி தென்காசி வழியோரன் சித்தரடி அடியாத்தி முடிஞ்சாக்கா அடையாளம் கண்டுபிடி கண்டாரே காணாதத கண்டாரே கண்டாரே கைலாசம் கண்டாரே கண்டாரே காணாதத கண்டாரே ஒரு வீடு ஒரு கூடு அட எதுவும் கிடையாதே சாக்காடு பிடிமூப்பு அதையெல்லாம் கடந்தாரே கண்டாரே கைலாசம் கண்டாரே கூத்தாடும் ஜடையாண்டி அதை குறியா கொண்டாரே காத்தோடு கதை பேசி சிவஞானம் கண்டாரே பத்தோட ஓரட்டு பத்தோட 18 சித்தர்கள் விளையாட்டு எத்தனை பேருக்கு தந்தாரோ விளையாட்டு சித்தங்கா போக்கு சிவபோக்கு என சொன்னாரே பித்தங்கா போக மருந்தாக தனம் வந்தாரே வடகாசி தென்காசி வழியோரன் சித்தரடி அடியாத்தி முடிஞ்சாக்கா அடையாளம் கண்டுபிடி கண்டாரே காணாதத கண்டாரே கண்டாரே கைலாசம் கண்டாரே கண்டாரே காணாதத கண்டாரே ஒரு வீடு ஒரு கூடு அட எதுவும் கிடையாதே சாக்காடு பிடிமூப்பு அதையெல்லாம் கடந்தாரே கண்டாரே கைலாசம் கண்டாரே கூத்தாடும் ஜடையாண்டி அதை குறியா கொண்டாரே காத்தோடு கதை பேசி சிவஞானம் கண்டாரே பத்தோட ஓரட்டு பத்தோட 18 சித்தர்கள் விளையாட்டு எத்தனை பேருக்கு தந்தாரோ விளையாட்டு சித்தங்கா போக்கு சிவபோக்கு என சொன்னாரே பித்தங்கா போக மருந்தாக தனம் வந்தாரே வடகாசி தென்காசி வழியோரன் சித்தரடி அடியாத்தி முடிஞ்சாக்கா அடையாளம் கண்டுபிடி கண்டாரே காணாதத கண்டாரே கண்டாரே கைலாசம் கண்டாரே
சிவ 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 ரகர ரகர சிவ 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 ரகர ரகர ஐயா சிவ 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 ரகர ரகர சிவ 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 ரகர ரகர ஊரறியே என் பேரறியே உறவறியே தவத்துறவறியே உள்ளொன்று உரம் ஒன்று பேசறிய உமை சிவன் போலே வேறறிய சிவ 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 ரகர ரகர 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 காலையும் மாலையும் கணக்கறிய நாளும் கோடும் நான் அறிய பாலையும் சோலையும் பிரித்தறிய பரம பரஞ்சோதி அடி சிறிய சிவ 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 ரகர ரகர சிவ 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 ரகர ரகர சிவ 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 ரகர ரகர சிவ 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 ரகர ஐயா ஊனறிய உயிர் உடலறிய மோன பெருவழியை நான் அறிய ஆனறிய பெண்ணறிய ஆதி சிதம்பரம் நான் அறிய சிவ 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 ரகர ரகர சிவ 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 ரகர ரகர சிவ 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 ரகர ரகர சிவ 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 சாமி உன்னெது பொருளது கண்டறிய போகமும் மோகமும் கொண்டறிய ஆசை பேராசை அறிந்தறிய அம்பலமாடியை மறந்தறிய சிவ 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 ரகர ரகர 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 ஐயா சிவ 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 ரகர ரகர சிவ 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 ரகர ரகர ஐயா சிவ 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 ரகர ரகர சிவ 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 ரகர ரகர ஆகம வேதங்கள் படித்தறிய ஆறு குளங்களில் குடித்தறிய யாகம் யோகமும் செய்தறிய கோமுகம் பார்த்து பணிந்தறிய சிவ 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 ரகர ரகர 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 சும்மா ஒருபோது இருந்தறிய சுத்த அசுத்தங்கள் பார்த்தறிய ஆத்மனி வேதனை செய்தறிய அர்த்தநாரீசன் அடி சிறிய சிவ 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 ரகர ரகர சிவ 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 ரகர ரகர சிவ 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 ரகர ரகர சிவ 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 ரகர சாமி ஏடறிய சொல் எழுத்தறிய ஏற்றமும் தாழ்வும் நான் அறிய வீடறிய குடும்பாடறிய சோமசுந்தரம் மறந்தறிய சிவ 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 ரகர ரகர சிவ 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 ரகர ரகர சிவ 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 ரகர ரகர சிவ 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 ரகர உணவறிய ஊரும் உணர்வறிய உள்யது வெளியது நான் அறிய தனவறிய மென்னவறிய கனக சபாவரி அடி சிறிய சிவ 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 ரகர ரகர 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 ஐயா சிவ 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 ரகர ரகர சிவ 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 ரகர ரகர ஐயா சிவ 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 ரகர ரகர சிவ 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 ரகர ரகர இரவறியேன் ஒரு பகலறியேன் இறப்பும் பிறப்பு நான் அறியேன் வரவறிய கை செலவறியேன் பரசிவ திருவடி மறந்தறிய சிவ 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 அரகர அரகர சிவ 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 அரகர அரகர சிவ 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 அரகர அரகர சிவ 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 அரகர சிவ 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 அரகர அரகர சிவ 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 அரகர சாமி வழியறிய கொண்ட வழியறிய பாவ புண்ணியம் நான் அறிய குலமறியேன் பிறர் நலமறிய நீத கண்டன மறந்தறிய சிவ 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 அரகர அரகர
नित्यानन्देश्वर परमशिव समारम्भाम् नित्यानन्देश्वरि परमशक्ति मध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्य पर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् I welcome you all with my love and blessings. I welcome all the devotees, disciples, Samajis, Satsangis, Shrimahans, Mahans, Tanidar Kotari, visitors, viewers, sitting with us all over the world through Nityananda TV, Kailasa's HNTV. I welcome all of you with my love and blessings. Paramashiva's direct message from Kailasa. Listen. Your experience about you is conscious sovereignty. In reality, your experience about you is conscious sovereignty. Your prenatal, postnatal habits listen intensely. The conscious sovereignty is the core of your reality. Your prenatal, postnatal habits cannot bind you or chain you. Habits are called karmas. Postnatal habits are called patterns. Both together can be called as mind. Mind which chains you, binds you with your prenatal, postnatal patterns, habits, attitudes, karmas. cannot bind you in reality. Listen. I am revealing the truth as it is. This is literally Nirvana Diksha. Truth as it is, without being clothed, dressed, or any makeup. Raw, straight, wild, real truth as it is. Your conscious sovereignty is your reality. Your prenatal patterns and habits and karmas, postnatal patterns and habits and karmas, nothing can actually bind you. Nothing can actually chain you. Understand? Your delusion, you are bound, itself is an illusion. I'll tell you. I'll give you one example. My Guru Arunagiri Yogeshwara told me very clearly one statement. Kanna, பிரம்மாண்டத்துல இருக்கிறதாம்பா பிண்டாண்டத்துல இருக்கு. நீ தினம் பார்க்கிற ஜாக்கிரத் சொப்ன சுஷுப்தி இந்த 3 நிலைகளையும் புரிஞ்சதுனாலே 25 துரியாதீதம் வரைக்கும் முழுசா எல்லா நிலையும் புரிஞ்சிரும்பா, அனுபவம் ஆயிடும். I'll translate in English. He told me, whatever is in the cosmos, macrocosm, is in the microcosm. Whatever you go through in your deep sleep, dream and waking state, if you start understanding, you will realize all the 25 states up to Turyadita and experience. This is the formula, basic formula he gave me. Understand this formula. I'll give you more detailed, deeper revelations. When you wake up from a nightmare, you always feel bad for suffering those few seconds or minutes in the nightmare. Instead of celebrating, you are free from it. Same way, whenever you are out of delusion by a powerful cognition, celebrate. You are out of delusion due to powerful cognition. Don't try to repent, feel powerless, guilty about the delusion with which you suffered. Listen, actually, in reality, delusion itself is because of your non-involvement, inactivity, withdrawal. When an elephant sleeps, even a wolf and fox will try to bite his leg. Listen. When an elephant sleeps, wolf and fox will try to bite his leg. When a lion is fast asleep, even wolves and foxes will try to eat the meat. Listen carefully. I'll repeat. Because the lion is sleeping, wolves and foxes get the courage to come near the lion, try to eat the leftover meat. Because the elephant is sleeping, wolves and foxes will try to come and bite the feet of the elephant, try to take a bite. Because you are not involved with yourself, even your delusion is invited upon you. Listen. Why you have nightmare? Because you fell into the lower conscious identity. Your decision to fall into the lower conscious identity naturally invites nightmare in you. Your decision to wake up to the higher identity not only will throw away the nightmare, it can throw away all delusions and illusions. When you have delusions, illusions, sufferings, do not try to work on facts, figures, informations. Work on your identity. If you are having a nightmare, a tiger is chasing you, you are about to fall from a cliff below, lake filled with crocodiles, too many poisonous snakes, don't try to get a gun and try to kill all the animals. Don't try to work with the scene. Stupidest, most foolish thing is trying to work with the scene before attending to your lower conscious identity. Even if you kill all the tigers, elephants, crocodiles, animals you are seeing in your nightmare, you will see new animals will be immediately replaced. Listen. Working on your conscious reality will wake up your conscious sovereignty in you that will solve millions of problems you are facing in your life, even in a very practical, strategic way. You always think, will my conscious sovereignty help me to strategize and win in my life? You think, oh, if I am awakened, achieve conscious sovereignty, I may leave all this and that way all my problems will be solved. But I wanted to play this game and very strategically, successfully. Hey, I am telling you, wake up to the higher conscious sovereignty. You will be amazingly strategic. Amazingly strategic. Successful. extremely blissful. Declare your conscious sovereignty, supremacy over your prenatal, postnatal karmas and patterns, habits, attitudes. Everything you acquired before your birth, prenatal, after your birth, postnatal. Declare your conscious sovereignty, conscious supremacy over all that. All that. Prenatal, postnatal cannot bind you. Cannot bind you. How your nightmares cannot bind you. Even when you go through your nightmares, you are not really affected. Listen. In your nightmare, if you are seeing a snake biting you, a poisonous snake biting you, it's not that your body really gets poisoned and you die. No. All nightmare is designed ultimately to wake you up. All delusions are designed ultimately to enlighten you. Sani comes in your life. Rahu comes in your life only to wake you up to Guru and give you enlightenment. Understand? Even your delusion is nothing more than you just slapping your face and waking yourself. How sometimes in the morning you wash your face and just slap yourself and wake you up. Or stretch your body, do yoga and make yourself fully awake. Same way, your delusions are designed to wake you up. Listen. Your realization of your conscious sovereignty will bring ultimate relationship between you and me. You know, you are Paramashiva, I am Paramashiva, and with extreme oneness, how you love you, you will love me. Only a person who realizes his conscious sovereignty, his relationship with me, it will be eternal. I trust only that relationship. This is the chastity of your soul, consciousness. This Guru Purnima, I give you all the gift, establishing relationship between you and me, conscious sovereignty centered. You are conscious sovereign being, Paramashiva. And I am Paramashiva, you are Paramashiva. How I love me, same way I love you. We both love ourselves and each other in oneness. I give you all this sweet gift. of conscious sovereignty centered relationship between you and me as Guru Purnima Prasada. From today, I'll help you all till Guru Purnima to align the conscious sovereignty centered relationship. See, if we had our relationship diluted, deluded, in course of time, little greed, little fear, that your greed, you want some boon from me, your fear, you want me to save you from some problems. If all that got added, nothing wrong, you don't need to worry about it. It is just a small delusions. But now, let us revive, re-establish our relationship, conscious sovereignty centered. Understand? Many times my disciples come and tell me, you all the time train only me, find only faults on me. See, the other person is also having the same problem, but you don't tell anything to them. Listen. When I am correcting you, working on you, cleaning your patterns, how do you expect I will not do the same on the other person also? I do it when you don't see, or the way you can't see. But with each one I am working to evolve our relationship, conscious sovereignty based. Understand? The truths I am talking today is the pure Nirvana Diksha. Listen carefully. Your reality means Jiva Tattva, Jiva Satya. Your existence's reality is conscious sovereignty. And with that same realization, you are a conscious sovereign being. Relating with Paramashiva is the love centered on oneness. Paramadvaita Bhakti. You know, you are conscious sovereign being and your Guru is conscious sovereign being. As you love you, you love your Guru. It is due to the oneness you feel with your Guru, you love him deeply. Jiva relating with Ishvara should be through this Paramadvaita Bhakti. Ultimate oneness centered Bhakti. First. Second, your Jiva, soul, which declares conscious sovereignty over this Jagat world, manifests most powerful existence and life, Ishwaratva, over this whole existence. That is the core principle, truth, from which all power manifestation happens. So understand, you declaring your conscious sovereignty is jnana, knowledge of the truth. Yukti, powerful yukti, and buddhi, powerful knowledge. You, with that same realization of conscious sovereignty, in love with Paramatma, Parabrahma, Parandama, Paramashiva, Paramburul, the Guru, who gives you this knowledge, having oneness and love with that being, is Parama Bhakti, the ultimate Bhakti. You declaring your conscious sovereignty over this Jagat is Parama Shakti, ultimate power. Listen. You declaring conscious sovereignty, realizing that as a reality, deciding to live it, is Buddhi, the greatest Parama Buddhi. You, with that same realization of conscious sovereignty, connecting with your Guru, loving him as you love you, because you are also Paramashiva, he is also Paramashiva. In that oneness, loving him is Parama Bhakti. You declaring your conscious sovereignty within you and conscious supremacy over this Jagat is Parama Shakti, power manifestation. Jiva, Ishvara, Jagat. These three, when it becomes centered on conscious sovereignty, you are Paramashiva. Listen. Even now you are Paramashiva. Realizing it is the Parama Yukti, ultimate truth and strategy for life. I'll tell you. In the cosmic level, Paramashiva has 5 of his dimensions: creation, sustenance, rejuvenation, destruction and rejuvenation, putting in and pulling out of delusion, and liberation. All these 5. In your microcosmic life, in your Pindanda microcosmic level, you play the same game. Every day, the new cells getting created, new organs getting manifested in your body is your creation. All of you need to know. Including your brain, everything gets newly created. New cells are created every minute, every second. This is your creation. In microcosmic level, in macrocosmic level, the planets which manifest planets are getting created. In microcosmic level, in the macrocosmic level, whatever is created is continuously getting sustained. In microcosmic level, the body you create is getting sustained. The life you manifest is getting sustained by you. You continuously breathing, inhaling and exhaling, keeping you alive is sustenance, maintenance in microcosmic level. In the macrocosmic level, destruction following big bangs. In the microcosmic level, the old cells getting killed and new cells getting formed is rejuvenation, samhara in your body, in your microcosmic level, pindanda level. Same way, in the Brahmanda level, the delusion is cosmos creating deluges, pralayas to rejuvenate itself, clean itself. I told you, this year, not just corona, there are so many other natural calamities. To clean the collective negativity will happen. This deluge, pralaya, will clean up a lot of collective negativity. You can see the heat wave all over the world. All the Panchabhutas playing and aligning itself. In the cosmic level, this is the delusion, throbhava going on. In the macrocosm, pindanda level, you forgetting your existence as Paramashiva, higher reality, falling into the nightmares and going through, is the small scale throbhava. Delusion in the pindanda, microcosmic level you go through. In the cosmic level, Brahmanda level, liberation, anugraha is Paramashiva himself manifesting as this Nijavatara Nityananda and making this Kailasa happen. And guiding all the beings in microcosmic level, pindanda level, you receiving these powerful cognitions and liberating yourself from all this deluge by holding on to the Guru's feet is the liberation happening in you. Understand, whatever is happening in your pindanda is happening in your pindanda microcosm. So don't worry about your delusions. Don't be powerless about it. Don't try to work with the facts and figures externally. Don't try to work with the seen. Work on the seer. I tell you, listen carefully. When Krishna declares his state, space, powers, being, how he is and his conscious sovereignty, whoever listened to him reached the Parandama. Vaikunta, his space. At the same time, Shishubala was trying to portray, describe how Krishna is. Whoever listened to Shishubala lived in Shishubala's space and got destroyed. When I declare about me, my state, my space, my being, my consciousness, if you connect with that, you will enjoy Kailasa and the ultimate space, conscious sovereignty I am manifesting. Instead, if you try to do independent research, independent investigation, the druggies, rapists, devil worshippers, racists, this gang, how they try to portray me, describe me, like how Shishubala, Saguni, all of them try to describe Krishna. Same way, these culinaries, rapists, child rapists, druggies, devil worshippers, when this gang try to describe me, abuse me, and if you listen to them, their words, you will be in their space and get destroyed. You will become druggy, you will become them and get destroyed. Because with whom you relate and connect, whose words you decide to believe, you get their bioenergy. That is why I again and again tell you, if you are doing your independent investigation based on the opinions of the druggies, child rapists, racists, criminals, culinaries, and devil worshippers, you will only reach their space, rot and die in their space. Listen. That is why it is important to connect with how Krishna introduces himself, not how Shaguni or Shishubala introduces Krishna. Listen. Intensely, consciously, ferociously decide to work on your conscious sovereignty. It's extremely exciting, fresh, alive experience of beautiful sunrise. Conscious sovereignty is the beautiful sunrise. I tell you, if you don't have a good friends to inspire you, don't talk to anyone, don't spend time with anyone, just spend time with my satsangs. That's the best friend you can have for yourself to enlighten you. Wrong friends will destroy your life. All those people who tell you, you should do your own independent investigation, they will put their shit on your mouth. They'll nicely cook it. It may even feel tasty sometimes, spicy. Only when it goes inside you will realize the impact of it. Understand? Falling into the delusion is not wrong, but not coming out is wrong. Falling into the delusion is not wrong, but not coming out is wrong. If any fear or greed, knowingly or unknowingly entered between guru-disciple relationship, now is the time purifying it, rejuvenating it, pulling out of delusion and liberating yourself, getting back, aligning to conscious sovereignty centered relationship. Conscious sovereignty centric relationship. Conscious sovereignty centric buddhi, bhakti, shakti. Conscious sovereignty centric buddhi, bhakti, shakti. I tell you, have right friends who inspire your conscious sovereignty, enlightenment, and right Guru Bhakti. If you don't have that kind of friends, better don't relate with them. Don't relate with anyone. Just spend time with yourself, watching my satsang, reading my books. That will inspire you, raise you to experience conscious sovereignty. I tell you. This deluge, pralaya, brings many delusions. Lies looks like facts. See, when you are boiling with insecurity, any person giving you any information which may look like a fact like this Shishubala and Saguni, when they abuse Krishna, they always get some facts, some figures, some ideas as a evidence for them. Twisted, misrepresented, manipulated. When you are boiling in hatred, you simply swallow the shit supplied to you by Shishubala and Saguni. And his gang. Shishubala Saguni gang. Description about Krishna will destroy your life and you will be destroying others' life. Go to Krishna's version about himself. That will liberate you and you will be liberating others. Listen to this satsang intensely. This conscious sovereignty centered buddhi, bhakti, shakti, yukti, strategies. These are the best things you can manifest in your life. This Guru Purnima gift for all of you from me is this conscious sovereignty centered buddhi, shakti, bhakti, yukti as a gift. As a gift. Bring your relationship with the Guru conscious sovereignty centered. He will take care of everything else. He will give you the buddhi to experience you as a conscious sovereign being. He will give you Shakti to declare your conscious supremacy over this Jagat with a conscious sovereignty. He will give you Yukti, conscious sovereignty life strategies. Understand? Even morning waking up and doing yoga is a strategy for conscious sovereignty. Doing puja is the strategy for the conscious sovereignty. Eating vegetarian food is a strategy for conscious sovereignty. He will give you all the best yuktis. Guru will give you all the best yuktis for conscious sovereignty. The Madeleine Portuguese is writing a message. What an incredible satsang. This is exactly what I needed to hear today. Thank you, Swamiji. Hey, listen. This is exactly what the whole world need to hear. Whole world need to listen. I am talking to each one of you. whether you are my sweet, deep feeling connected disciple or very deeply connected but very shy to express the devotion, like Maitrik Patel, very deeply connected but very shy, or deeply connected but reluctant warrior, like Anusha Kodali, very deeply connected but reluctant warrior. Oh, I don't know whether I will miss this, I will miss that. Oh, I don't know how I will feel about it. Oh, I don't know. After going to Kailas, what will be my feeling? Will I be able to sustain? Will I be able to do this? Will I be able to do that? Will I? This is what I call reluctant barriers. Whatever may be the state or space you are in, I tell you, you all need to listen to this truth today. See, I have some of my balasans, extremely devoted. When I walk, they will come behind me, just following my footsteps. But if there is a need to protect me, defend me, they will just jump in front of me, ready to give even their own life to protect me. I tell you. Some of the most beautiful Tyagis have come down with me from Kailasa. They have come down from Kailasa. You will see their manifestations, how they manifest themselves and hold themselves. You will see now when Kailasa is open to all of you, and when you are all able to come and have the experience of Kailasa physically. That kind of a highly dedicated Tyagi disciples, from that level to people who just got connected yesterday's satsang and feel this guy is talking something with sense. It is not that as the troll buys, the troll videos and memes guys abuse him. See, many times these trolls and memes guys, they think they can abuse me and try to put some music and edit, cut and twist, manipulate my words and try to spread. But you know, funny thing, I'll give you the statistics. are millions of people who saw troll video, memes, abusive videos first, and then Googled about me, saw the satsang and got connected and became devotees. But we don't have a single person who was a devotee and saw the troll video or memes video and lost the devotion, left me. See the whole scene. So those fools, trolls, abusers, all of them, not only all their efforts are waste, indirectly it is helping my mission. Even though they don't want to help, their intention is no way helping my mission. But the final result is helping my mission. That's the way it is ending. That's the way it is happening. So listen, whether somebody who got connected just yesterday or a great tyagi, you may be any level disciple. You need to hear this truth. Whole world need to hear this truth of conscious sovereignty. Listen. So many people trolled, distorted, abused my statement about that me, talking to me. Actually, if you see the original video, you will understand this is the Paramadvaita, the ultimate Advaitic statement. Cosmic me, Paramashiva, manifesting in this as me, talking to all of you who are experience you as me. That me in you and the me in me and cosmic me, all three are made of same substance called consciousness. Because I have realized cosmic me, individual me, and the me in you, all three are one and the same. I love cosmic me, the me in you, as me in me. And that me talking through this me to the me in all of you. So many people trolled. I think this is a super hit troll video. But many people who got little curious, triggered, something seems to be like making sense. Why is he telling what he is telling? Let me just Google whoever Googled and started seeing more satsangs, they all got connected. They all got connected. I tell you, the truth you need to hear now is conscious sovereignty. The truth you need to meditate now is conscious sovereignty. Hold this in your being. Meditate on it intensely. Wherever you are, you will manifest me. Wherever you are, you will manifest Paramashiva. I am here to give you this bliss, this conscious sovereignty, the ultimate freedom. Especially when you start manifesting one or two powers from your conscious sovereignty, you will get so much strength and confidence on you. About the conscious sovereignty, you will understand what I am doing, my mission. Listen. Every breath I am taking, manifesting as words, is initiation to give you conscious sovereignty. Every movement I am doing is a sweet hug. Shakti Pada, Shaktini Pada, initiating all of you through Sparsha Diksha, giving you conscious sovereignty. Everything I do is to make you experience conscious sovereignty. Realize conscious sovereignty. I tell you. Especially you are going through the third 7. See, first 7 year, second 7 year, third 7 year, fourth 7 year. This third 7 year and fourth 7 year means age 14 to 21 and 21 to 28. This two is the most important period of your life. If you are between 14 to 28 and you withstood this pralaya and stayed back with me, I guarantee you are enlightened. I will manifest conscious sovereignty in all its dimension in you. Because that is the time internally and externally so much turbulence happens. if you are between 14 and 28 and stayed in Kailasa, means, see, if you have come already into the Kailasa and stayed with me, you won the game. If you have not come at all, but connected as a devotee and stayed as a devotee, continuing as a devotee, and then also again you won the game. Both team never came, but wanting to come, never broke the integrity. You won the Kailasa. You won the game. Came, withstood all this turbulence and pralaya and stayed. You won the game. This is the most crucial time, this 14 to 28, to build the conscious sovereignty. The hormones, chemicals, everything. The way it churns inside, outside. The way you feel about you, because of that, the way you feel about Guru and others. Conscious sovereignty is the truth. You should digest, internalize, hold, build buddhi, bhakti, shakti, yukti out of this powerful truth, conscious sovereignty. It's an ultimate freedom, an ultimate enlightenment. Sit now, your head, neck, spine straight. No need to close your eyes. Keep your eyes open intensely, seeing me through all your three eyes. I'll give you Shakti Pada and Shaktini Pada to experience conscious sovereignty. Conscious sovereignty.
என்றும் உன் கண் திறந்து மனமே வெறும் நிலை என்று ஏற்றுக்கொள்வது நித்திய மந்திரமாச்சு வாழ்வின் அனந்த யந்திரமாச்சு நித்திய மந்திரமாச்சு வாழ்வின் அனந்த யந்திரமாச்சு ஆடலாம் பாடலாம் உண்டாடலாம் ஆனந்தமாய் நித்திய நமன் பாதை பாடலாம் ஞானமாம் நித்திய தந்த பாதை தன்னிலே ஆட்டமுடன் பாட்டமோடு ஆனந்தமாய் கொண்டாடவே ஆத்ம ஞான என்னப்பனல்லவா என் தாயும் அல்லவா என் தாயும் அல்லவா தன்னை உணர்த்திடும் தியானம் அளிக்கவா என்னப்பனல்லவா என் தாயும் அல்லவா தன்னை உணர்த்திடும் தியானம் அளிக்கவா எங்கும் நிறைந்தவா எண்ணம் கடந்தவா பொங்கும் அருவியாய் ஆனந்தம் தந்தவா எங்கும் நிறைந்தவா எண்ணம் கடந்தவா பொங்கும் அருவியாய் ஆனந்தம் தந்தவா என்னப்பனல்லவா என் தாயும் அல்லவா தன்னை உணர்த்திடும் தியானம் அளிக்கவா ஏழாம் உடல்கள் தாண்டி நித்திய வாழ்வும் கண்டிட கேடான காலம் தன்னை வென்று நீலை நின்றிட ஏழாம் உடல்கள் தாண்டி நித்திய வாழ்வும் கண்டிட கேடான காலம் தன்னை வென்று நீலை நின்றிட சீரான பாவம் பழி நீங்கி பெரும் வாழ்வினை கொண்டாட நித்யானந்த ஸ்புரணம் தன்னை நீதவா சீரான பாவம் பழி நீங்கி பெரும் வாழ்வினை கொண்டாட நித்யானந்த ஸ்புரணம் தன்னை நீதவா என்னப்பன் 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 அல்லவா என் தாயும் அல்லவா தன்னை உணர்த்திடும் தியானம் அளிக்கவா என்னப்பன் அல்லவா என் தாயும் அல்லவா தன்னை உணர்த்திடும் தியானம் அளிக்கவா ஏழாம் உடல்கள் தாண்டி நித்திய வாழ்வும் கண்டிட கேடான காலம் தன்னை வென்று நீலை நின்றிட ஏழாம் உடல்கள் தாண்டி நித்திய வாழ்வும் கண்டிட கேடான காலம் தன்னை வென்று நீலை நின்றிட சீரான பாவம் பழி நீங்கி பெரும் வாழ்வினை கொண்டாட நித்யானந்த ஸ்புரணம் தன்னை நீதவா சீரான பாவம் பழி நீங்கி பெரும் வாழ்வினை கொண்டாட நித்யானந்த ஸ்புரணம் தன்னை நடத்திடும் தியானம் அளிக்கவா என்னப்பன் அல்லவா என் தாயும் அல்லவா தன்னை உணர்த்திடும் தியானம் அளிக்கவா ஏழாம் உடல்கள் தாண்டி நித்திய வாழ்வும் கண்டிட கேடான காலம் தன்னை வென்று நீலை நின்றிட ஏழாம் உடல்கள் தாண்டி நித்திய வாழ்வும் கண்டிட கேடான காலம் தன்னை வென்று நீலை நின்றிட சீரான பாவம் பழி நீங்கி பெரும் வாழ்வினை கொண்டாட நித்யானந்த ஸ்புரணம் தன்னை நீதவா சீரான பாவம் பழி நீங்கி பெரும் வாழ்வினை கொண்டாட நித்யானந்த ஸ்புரணம் தன்னை நீதவா என்னப்பன் 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 அல்லவா என் தாயும் அல்லவா தன்னை உணர்த்திடும் தியானம் அளிக்கவா என்னப்பன் அல்லவா என் தாயும் அல்லவா தன்னை உணர்த்திடும் தியானம் அளிக்கவா ஏழாம் உடல்கள் தாண்டி நித்திய வாழ்வும் கண்டிட கேடான காலம் தன்னை வென்று நீலை நின்றிட ஏழாம் உடல்கள் தாண்டி நித்திய வாழ்வும் கண்டிட கேடான காலம் தன்னை வென்று நீலை நின்றிட சீரான பாவம் பழி நீங்கி பெரும் வாழ்வினை கொண்டாட நித்யானந்த ஸ்புரணம் தன்னை நீதவா சீரான பாவம் பழி நீங்கி பெரும் வாழ்வினை கொண்டாட நித்யானந்த ஸ்புரணம் தன்னை நீதவா என்னப்பன் 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 அல்லவா என் தாயும் அல்லவா தன்னை உணர்த்திடும் தியானம் அளிக்கவா என்னப்பன் அல்லவா என் தாயும் அல்லவா தன்னை உணர்த்திடும் தியானம் அளிக்கவா என்னப்பன் அல்லவா என் தாயும் அல்லவா தன்னை உணர்த்திடும் தியானம் அளிக்கவா என்னப்பன் அல்லவா என் தாயும் அல்லவா தன்னை உணர்த்திடும் தியானம் அளிக்கவா எங்கும் நிறைந்தவா எண்ணம் கடந்தவா பொங்கும் அருவியாய் ஆனந்தம் தந்தவா எங்கும் நிறைந்தவா எண்ணம் கடந்தவா பொங்கும் அருவியாய் ஆனந்தம் தந்தவா என்னப்பன் அல்லவா என் தாயும் அல்லவா என்னப்பன் அல்லவா என் தாயும் அல்லவா தன்னை உணர்த்திடும் தியானம் அளிக்கவா எங்கும் நிறைந்தவா எண்ணம் கடந்தவா பொங்கும் அருவியாய் ஆனந்தம் தந்தவா எங்கும் நிறைந்தவா எண்ணம் கடந்தவா பொங்கும் அருவியாய் ஆனந்தம் தந்தவா
கொண்டிட நித்யன் ஈரேழு லோகத்திற்கெட்டா ஈசன் முக்தி நேரி அருளவே நித்யனாய் உலகிற்கு வந்தம்மை ஆட்கொள்ள தேவர்களை காத்திட வைத்தான் தாயாய் பேரருள் புரிய உடல் ரோமம் சிலிர்த்திட நித்யனாய் வந்து அண்ணாமலையில் பிறந்தான் புவி எண்ணாத யோகமை கொண்டிட நித்யன் ஈரேழு லோகத்திற்கெட்டா ஈசன் முக்தி நேரி அருளவே நித்யனாய் அண்ணாமலையில் பிறந்தான் திருவண்ணாமலையில் பிறந்தான் கிளப்பி விட்டேனில் பர தத்துவம் கற்பித்த பாரம ஞானியாய் ஞானக்கண் கொடுத்த தமக்கே ரூபம் காட்டிய மாய வித்தை செய்யும் நித்யன் வித்தை கிளப்பி விட்டேனில் பர தத்துவம் கற்பித்த பாரம ஞானியாய் ஞானக்கண் கொடுத்த தமக்கே ரூபம் காட்டிய மாய வித்தை செய்யும் நித்யன் அண்ணாமலையில் பிறந்தான் புவி எண்ணாத யோகமே கொண்டிட நித்யன் ஈரேழு லோகத்திற்கெட்டா ஈசன் முக்தி நேரி அருளவே நித்யனாய் அண்ணாமலையில் பிறந்தான் நித்யன் அண்ணாமலையில் பிறந்தான் ஐயனின் ரூபம் விளங்கும் தாண்டும் சிவசக்தியாக ஐம்பொறிகளுக்கும் புலனாகின்ற நித்யன் மெய்ப்பொருளான நித்யனை ஆழ்ந்து சிந்திக்க ஐயனின் ரூபம் விளங்கும் யாண்டும் சிவசக்தியாக ஐம்பொறிகளுக்கும் புலனாகின்ற நித்யன் அண்ணாமலையில் பிறந்தான் புவி எண்ணாத யோகமே கொண்டிட நித்யன் ஈரேழு லோகத்திற்கெட்டா ஈசன் முக்தி நெறி அருளவே நித்யனாய் அண்ணாமலையில் பிறந்தான் திருவண்ணாமலையில் பிறந்தான் உள்ளும் புறமும் இருந்து உயிர் பக்குவமாக்கிடும் பரமனாம் நித்யன் ஞானப்பாடி தரங்கள் ஏழும் கொண்ட ஞானமும் ஆகியே ஆண்டிடும் நித்யன் உள்ளும் புறமும் இருந்து உயிர் பக்குவமாக்கிடும் பரமனாம் நித்யன் ஞானப்பாடி தரங்கள் ஏழும் கொண்ட ஞானமும் ஆகியே ஆண்டிடும் நித்யன் அண்ணாமலையில் பிறந்தான் புவி எண்ணாத யோகமே கொண்டிட நித்யன் ஈரேழு லோகத்திற்கெட்டா ஈசன் முக்தி நெறி அருளவே நித்யனாய் அண்ணாமலையில் பிறந்தான் நித்யன் அண்ணாமலையில் பிறந்தான் அப்த வாக்கியங்களான அருள் கவிதைகள் நித்யனின் மகிமை சொல்லிடும் மகிமை அர்த்திக்க பின்னே சிவசக்தி ஸ்வரூபமாய் தோன்றிடும் நித்யன் அப்த வாக்கியங்களான அருள் கவிதைகள் நித்யனின் மகிமை சொல்லிடும் மகிமை அர்த்திக்க பின்னே சிவசக்தி ஸ்வரூபமாய் தோன்றிடும் நித்யன் அண்ணாமலையில் பிறந்தான் புவி எண்ணாத யோகமே கொண்டிட நித்யன் ஈரேழு லோகத்திற்கெட்டா ஈசன் முக்தி நெறி அருளவே நித்யனாய் அண்ணாமலையில் பிறந்தான் திருவண்ணாமலையில் பிறந்தான் தனிலே நித்யன் உன்னத நீலை ஊழத்தில் வருமே பின்னவர் மன்னவர் ஒப்ப அகிலம் ஆளும் கீர்த்தியுடை ஈசன் நித்யானந்தன் புண்ணிய சேத்திரம் தனிலே நித்யன் உன்னத நீலை ஊழத்தில் வருமே பின்னவர் மன்னவர் ஒப்ப அகிலம் ஆளும் கீர்த்தியுடை ஈசன் நித்யானந்தன் அண்ணாமலையில் பிறந்தான் புவி எண்ணாத யோகமே கொண்டிட நித்யன் ஈரேழு லோகத்திற்கெட்டா ஈசன் முக்தி நெறி அருளவே நித்யனாய் அண்ணாமலையில் பிறந்தான் நித்யன் அண்ணாமலையில் பிறந்தான் முப்புரி நூலை தரித்தவன் ஐயன் வேதியன் வெந்நீர் பூசிய நித்யன் அண்டத்தின் மூல காரணன் முடிவற்ற ஆனந்தத்தை கொண்டற்கருள்வான்
I bless you all. Let's all radiate with integrity, collective integrity. The state, space, powers, being, superconsciousness, and Kailasa of Paramashiva. Paramashivoham. Om Nityananda Paramashivoham. The state, space, powers, being, and superconsciousness of Paramashiva. Kailasa of Paramashiva. Paramashivoham. Om Nityananda Paramashivoham. Om. I bless you all. Let's all radiate with integrity, collective integrity. The state, space, powers, being, superconsciousness